Hi, Cozy Adventurers. I am going to have some more peach fragrances show up probably later this week or next week. But in the meantime, I'm going to move on to pear this week. And I'm going to start with, I'll start with just going back over a few that I already explored in a pear candy video. And those are Pear Gelato by Theodoro Calotine. I don't like it. I think it's one that people really like, but I am so about both peach and pear. Like, they both can lean a little bit like overripe, kind of almost BO-y to me. Not like a really stinky BO, but a just like not clean smell. Yeah, I really don't like it. It has like a pastry element, even though it says gelato. It doesn't smell like ice cream to me. It smells like maybe a pear pastry, and maybe like there's butter in it too, which I don't like. I'm a vegan and I don't really like the smell of butter. I don't even know if that's a note in it, but that's what it smells like to me. So that's pear gelato. And then what else that I've tried already? Oh, Kayali's vanilla candy rock sugar. This one is just like not me either. It's a really strong, long wearing, very sweet fragrance that for me starts out very bubblegummy and then moves to a kind of pear candy, and at the end gets a little bit more like creamy sweet. Yeah, there's a vanilla cream and a caramel that come in more toward the end. But yeah, it's too peary and like kind of high-pitched sweet for me. And then Jean Paul Gaultier Label Parfum Intense. This is a like very overripe pear, syrupy pear, cooked pear. And when I first spray it, it smells kind of gross to me, like that, like just overripe to the point of kind of rotting. But then it, over time, becomes more like this poached pear, like spicy smell that I like more, but it's still not really my thing. But this is also a pretty beast mode fragrance that stays on a long time and projects and makes a big scent bubble. So that's my recap of ones that I've already done. And then I'll go from the Jean Paul Gaultier to a couple that really seem similar to me, but I've not heard anyone discuss, which is Delina Exclusive, which is a rose perfume, but with pear and oud. And I Am Her by Forever Mood, which is a pear and oud fragrance. And yeah, when I was trying on a bunch of these different pear fragrances, these two really felt in the same category to me with that pear and oud. And then also with the Jean Paul Gaultier, the Label, this one doesn't have oud per se, but it has a leather note that acts very similar to oud along with the pear. So yeah, I would put these all in the same family. And I know a lot of people find Delina Exclusive like more smooth and easy wearing than the original Delina, but I don't have that experience. The original Delina feels much lighter and fruity, airy, sweet, and like rose watery. And this one has like a heaviness and a sort of maturity. It feels a little bit like an older woman might wear it. And yeah, I don't really like the oud and pear and stuff like that. It just like, it's a really weird smell. I do like I Am Her a little more. And I like this one like over time, just neither of them feel like me fragrances. So I think I will be putting them on Mercari. And Jean Paul Gaultier, the Label, I don't know if I'll keep it or not. I feel like I might keep it still to like compare it to other things in case every so often I want to smell like a very sexy overripe pear dessert. Continuing on with my pear fragrance exploration, I have a few that are on the more like clean, verging on somewhat soapy or floral pear fragrances. And those are Juliet Has a Gun, Pear Incorporated. This one smells very much like, what does it say about itself? Milky Heart of Musk, Ambroxan. Yeah. This one, if I spray like more than one spray in the same area, the Ambroxan's definitely too much for me and it smells kind of stinky and scratchy. But if I just spray one spray, it's a pretty light, sweet, but slightly soapy, like a body wash or a body spray kind of pear, which I also don't like, but I don't hate it. I just like, it's not really what I want to smell like. And Love Shack Fancy Forever in Love is also this sort of more clean, slightly soapy, but not in that body wash way, in a way that's more floral and a little bit powdery, but sweet and pear. Also not my fragrance profile, but it is pretty for sure. And then Jo Malone English Pear and Sweet Pea also starts out with some, it's very musky and it's pear, and the sweet pea gives it that body wash, body spray kind of smell. And as it dries down, it does get sweeter and a little bit more like, oh, I do kind of find this interesting, but it still doesn't smell like a me perfume quite. And then the Golden Rule by Fleur. This is one where at the beginning it smells, well, it has orange flower, which that tends to kind of dominate for me. And it has a pink pepper that I smell, but it also has coconut milk. This is a floral one that's less soapy, more creamy orange flower, but still has a little bit of a clean profile, and then like warms up as you wear it in the way that it smells. I kind of found myself liking the way that it wafts around. Most of these I found with peach and with pear, I don't really like the way they smell when I'm up close, but when it wafts around, I can appreciate it. Hi, Cozy Adventures. I'm in my pear perfume week, doing the peaches and pears, and now we're on pear. And today I have Guidance, Homage, Guidance and Guidance 46. And I so often heard people bring it up as like their very favorite, but also as something that is really polarizing, and a lot of people smell like, think it's gross smelling. And I was very curious, so I finally got samples of each, and I will say I definitely experienced both the magic of it and the stinkiness of it. And I'll say with Guidance 46, which people say is kind of has some smoothed out edges, is a little easier to wear, is definitely less stinky at the beginning, but also in the deeper dry down, less magical. Guidance, if I smell it too closely, even though it's been dried down for a few hours, still is like has a little stinky, but in the air, it just smells like this magical, like pear magic. It smells like if pear was made of sparkles. I think it also has rose in it. It has a nutty facet to it that I think is part of what smells bad to me in the beginning. Yeah, Guidance 46, I think starts out smelling a little bit more like how Guidance dries down to later. So I don't know why or how that is the case, but I think I prefer the regular guidance because the magical dry down lasts for a long time. Um, and you just have to get through a first like 20 minutes that does smell to me pretty animalic and like pee and some sort of dirty BO-ish kind of bad smell mixed with pear. I think some people think it smells like vomity. I kind of understand that. But really in the air, it is such a like kind of ethereal, hard to describe pear scent that also just with like one spray of it keeps my living room smelling magical for like a couple days. So yeah, it's fun to have actually tried it and understand what other people are talking about now. Hi, Cozy Adventures. I'm continuing with my pear week, and hear me out. I had just been testing yesterday Guidance and Guidance 46, which are extremely expensive, high-end niche perfumes. And then I got out God is a Woman and Cloud, which are my two Ariana Grande things I have right now that have pear. And something in me was like, there's something about the sweetest part of the pear in Guidance that smells like the pear in God is a Woman. And I tested it out and I agree with myself. So they're not similar perfumes as far as like the entire perfume, but that pear note and how sweet and juicy and just kind of the particular kind of pear is very similar. And I was like, oh, I wonder if God is a Woman came out soon after Guidance, and I wonder if that was like part of the thought process of that fragrance. But is a Woman was actually before Guidance. So now I'm like, was Guidance partially inspired by God is a Woman? But on the other hand, I think I've realized that I'm allergic to these perfume mists because I'm allergic to everything that is, or not everything, but so many things that are affordable and whatever chemicals are in there. Because I sprayed this and then I got a sore throat and stuff at the end of the day yesterday. I think that this is the culprit, which sucks because it smells really good. Hi, Cozy Adventures. I have several other samples to try of fragrances that have peach or a peachy element, and they're all vintage or a new one that's a flanker of a vintage fragrance. So I'll start with the one that's like the easiest wear for me is Lancome Poem, which this sample is from 1997, and it was launched in 1995, and it has some orange blossom and tuberose, making it on the sweeter side, and I think that's what makes it easy on my nose. And the peach part is in the top notes, which means it might not really be in it much anymore because it's such an old perfume, and the top notes seem to fade the quickest. But if I use my imagination, I can smell a sort of powdery peach. There's a lot of other florals, and there's a leathery note, but it's not a very strong leather because I don't generally like a leather note, but a lot of perfumes from this time period have it. So that's Lancome Poem. And then Lancome Trésor from 1992, this batch. And let's see, it first came out in 1990. And this one is the most challenging on my nose of all of these. It just has something that's a little, and it's possible that the perfume is off because it's so old. but I don't think they keep selling them if it's really gone off. It just smells more musty to me. It has peach, rose, apple, apricot, blossom, pineapple, lilac. I think there's something about the like pineapple peach, but then mixed with lilac and lily of the valley that smells like kind of confusing to my nose. Just like too much going on. But there's something in it that piques my interest. And when I tried the next one, which is Mitsuko Eau de Cologne, which is from the 1980s, and it's a way older perfume than that. This one's Hi Cozy Adventures. So I'm going through my last few fragrances with peach in them that are pretty much all vintage, or there's one flanker of a vintage that's a modern one. And I was looking at Lancome Trésor, and this is a batch from 1992, and talking about the sort of complex floral smell that like smells a little musty to my nose. But there's some smell in the background in it that it doesn't list, a like kind of darker, spicier smell. But I smell that, and that smell is at the forefront of Mitsuko, the Guerlain fragrance. And this is Eau de Cologne concentration. And that perfume, let me find, I think is originally from the just early 1900s. It's a really old formulation. And that one, I can tell what, I can understand why people say it smells old lady, but to me, it smells old in a non-musty way. In a way that smells like powdered spiced candy, like conversation hearts, or those gumdrops that are spice flavored, that are more on the like wintergreen, clove, anise kind of smells. That's sort of what I smell from it, and I like it. And then I have a little sample of Armani Acqua di Gio, which is, let's see if I have that ready to go. It is from 1996, and this is a batch from 98. And it's a men's cologne, but from this time period, lots of times I like actually the men's colognes better than the women's, because I don't like super heady florals or super what's the word, that sort of Chanel number 5. I'll tell you if I think of it later. There's something that's in those kind of fragrances that's supposed to smell clean and soapy, but to me like smells overwhelming, and I don't usually like it. Aldehydes. Yeah, to me aldehydes often smell like a public bathroom. Anyway, this smells pretty marine and like clean at the beginning, but then as it settles, it sweetens up, and I get some nutmeg. Cozy Adventures, my last peachy video for now. I've been going through these samples of vintage perfumes. It's so fun. And individually, I kind of have to use my imagination to realize that there's peach in them, because they're all really complex, fruity floral fragrances that are also have that sort of vintagey smell and very powdery. But when I have them all sprayed a little bit on my arms as they warm up, I do get a little bit of a kind of intoxicating, spicy peach, vintage perfumey, but in a good way. In a way that's not this sort of high-pitched, heady version I like, that has a little bit of depthful spiciness and powderiness that I like. So it's kind of fun to have all of these on my arms together. I don't know what anyone else would smell from it coming off of me, but I like it. And I went to bed like this last night with all these little. So these are, in case you're just seeing this video and you didn't see the other ones, Lancome Poème, a 1997 version, Lancome Trésor, a 1992 version. That's the one I like the least. And I'm curious to try a newer one of that one, just to see if I just don't like it or if it is off a little bit. And Guerlain Mitsuko Eau de Cologne. This one is probably my favorite. Although when I just smell it like that, it's like, oh. And Armani Acqua di Gio. Oh, this is women. So I guess there was a women's version. It's not the men's version. This one's the most peachy, I feel like, of all of these. So that's all of those. And then I have J'adore Intense, which is a brand new fragrance, but J'adore itself is a 90s, I think 1999 fragrance that has peach and pear. So I think that's in the base of this, but the added notes are honey and apricot. And the original J'adore I don't really like, or I haven't figured out yet. And this one is one of those that I don't love when it's like when I'm sniffing up close, but it's a Francis Kurkdjian, so it's wafts in a beautiful way around me with that honeyed apricot smell. When I first smelled it, I was like, ugh, it just still smells like perfume, like department store perfume, but I get like a signature Francis Kurkdjian kind of scent bubble wafting smell that I do like. And even though this is just a little dabber, it's still got such a pretty little bottle. Hi Cozy Adventures. I am continuing with my Pear exploration today, and it's a cooler day of spring after having a couple really warm summery days. And the two that I put on today are niche and or like one of them is Guerlain, which I think should count as a niche, but I think it also sort of counts as a designer fragrance, but it should be niche because really it's just a perfumery. And so I have Angelique Noir. Today I was thinking about it for some reason and I was like, I think that has pear in it, and I looked it up and it does. So it's largely like powdery vanilla herbal with angelica root fragrance, but with pear as well. And I've become more sensitive to pears and noticing what pear things smell like. And then the other one is Symmetry Harmony. This one, there was a like sample thing from Fragrance Net that came with the package, and so I was like, oh, I can sniff a bunch of different ones just in this little like it's like paper samples, you know, like the old-fashioned ones that's from magazines where you open it up and you can smell it. And this is the one that I like the most, Harmony. And Harmony is also a name that is sweet to me because my parents almost named me Harmony Joy. And so it feels like kind of a part of myself. And then on the box, it says, take a moment for yourself. It says, dream big, love fiercely. And it says, create bliss, achieve balance. So all of that's lovely. And this is like pear, vanilla, sandalwood. It has plum in it too. And it's very light. So it's one where, whereas Angelique Noir, I just need like one spray and I'm good. This one, I could totally spray all over and get more of a surrounding experience. But it's very gentle. I saw on Fragrantica that some people compare it to Brit by Burberry. And to me, that's such a more intense fragrance. And this just has a much lighter springtime vibe to me. Gentle. It's like light and gentle and soft and feminine and sweet. And Angelique Noir, I'm realizing this is the time of the year that's really for it for me, that it's turning into spring, so the herbal feels refreshing, but it's still got a big pack of power to the fragrance that probably wouldn't be the best for like the deep of the heat of summer. So a cool spring day is perfect for it. Hi, Cozy Adventures. That's Lucy. We're continuing with our Pear fragrance exploration today. And the next few days, it'll be designer Pear fragrances. And so I have 4 that I'm trying today. And all 4 I don't really like on their own. But just now when I had like added the last of the 4, it gave me this like surrounding experience that actually smells amazing. So I'm curious to keep experimenting with these because I thought I was just going to pass on these samples to someone else, but now I'm curious to keep experimenting with layering with them. I do know one of them, La Vie Belle, I like layered with the La Vie Belle Vanille Nude because I just don't really like it by itself. It's a sweet like patchouli fruity floral, and I don't really like a sweet patchouli fruity floral in general. The patchouli just like sticks out in a way that I don't really like, and I'm not that into pear. And yeah, but these bottles are so pretty. But yeah, I like it layered with Vanille Nude because then it pumps up the vanilla in it and it makes the whole thing smell way better to me. Sometimes for me, adding vanilla is like adding salt. Like it makes me be able to smell the other notes better because I like the vanilla so much, and it kind of get the vanilla in contrast to the other notes, and it sort of smooths it out in a way I like. So I have that on. What I started with today a few hours ago was Black Opium Le Parfum, which is supposed to be like the kind of sweetest, most vanillic coffee-ish one, but it still is a fruity floral patchouli, really. And I just don't like patchouli, chocolatey patchoulis and coffee patchoulis. Like I just don't like it. I'm like, I want it to actually just smell like those things. I don't want the patchouli to be interrupting my experience. And the pear too. It just doesn't quite make sense to my nose. So this is my favorite of the Black Opiums because deeper in the dry down, like where I am now, the vanilla really comes out and it smells really creamy and good. But I just generally don't like this DNA, the Black Opium DNA, very much. And then My Devotion Intense by Dolce & Gabbana. This one has peony, which I'm not that much of a peony person, and instead of pear, it has pear blossom. I don't like it at the beginning. Hi, Cozy Adventures. So I'm continuing on with my 4 designer pear fragrances that I'm wearing today, and I started with La Vie Belle, the original, and Black Opium Le Parfum, which is the most vanillic version of Black Opium. And both of these are not my favorite on their own because they have a like sweet fruity floral patchouli thing that's just not a DNA that I tend to like. But as they dry down, they get sweeter and sweeter, and the vanilla comes out of both of them, and I like them layered. And then Dolce & Gabbana My Devotion Pour Femme Intense. This one I don't like at the beginning because it's peony and what else? Pear blossom, and it just smells too watery floral for my taste. But this one as well, in the deep dry down after a couple of hours, gets more and more vanillic. And I still don't like it that much by itself, but layered with these other things that all have this in common of like being these kind of complex fruity florals. I mean, complex, whatever, but like, yeah, having a lot of layers, but then the vanilla really comes out after a couple of hours and it all starts smelling really good. And then on top of all three of those, I added, not right on top, but in a different spot on my body, I added Scandal à Paris and Jean Paul Gaultier with the little legs. And this one is jasmine, honey, and what else does it list? And pear, yeah, juicy pear, jasmine, honey. And this is another one that like by itself I don't like that much. It's just not, it doesn't smell that good to me. It smells a little harsh or something, but in a designer perfume kind of way that tends to smell sort of harsh and department store-y to me. But in the air and added with these other sweet pear fragrances, it like added the top off of like aromatic, extra sweet honey on top of this cocktail, this springtime sweet cocktail of fragrances. And I love it in the air, and I love it in the air mixed with these others together. So an interesting experiment today. Hi, Cozy Adventures. I just want to share a few more designer pear perfumes. And the last ones I have are going to be Paradox, and I'll try Paradox and Paradox Intense for a whole day wear. But before that, I want to get through these last few that are sort of all very different. One is Irresistible by Givenchy. And I actually first smelled this when I was smelling a bunch of rose fragrances before Valentine's Day. And this one was like such a breath of fresh air when I first smelled it. I smelled such a bright, juicy, sweet pear in it. So I think compared to other rose fragrances, this is a very sweet, juicy pear. Compared to other pear fragrances, I smell more of the rose. But I totally see why people love this. It's just like a happy, lovely, like warm, sweet, springtime in love kind of fragrance. Yeah, it's one of those where I was like, oh, I understand this one. So that's Irresistible by Givenchy. Yeah, it's neither like straight up rose water or like a heavy rose. It's like, it's not like a dying rose. It's kind of like a mature rose smell, meaning not like a rose bud or something, but like a fully grown rose, but with this lovely sweet pear on top. And it's not dense, which I really like. It's not super airy, but it's also not thick and dense. It's very middle of the road, but in a really enjoyable way. And then I have Chanel 1932, which when I was trying a bunch of different vintage fragrances, this one smelled like a delightful pear, and I didn't really smell the aldehydes that much, but compared to my other pear fragrances, the aldehydes are really strong, and I smell that, what smells to me like a public bathroom kind of Chanel vintagey aldehydes going on. So, yeah, I'm curious if I can like grow out of that, or if it's paired with the right other thing, if I like it. And then Versace Yellow Diamond and Yellow Diamond Intense. This is the intense one. When I first spray it, it smells like, I can smell the pear and citrus right away. It's a pear sorbet. And then the citrus in it is a little bit too I could see why people would think it smells like soap, kind of like a citrus soap, a spray cleaner. This one is more like that than the original Yellow Diamond. The Intense has more of a strong citrus that goes on the soapy side. It's got freesia too, which gives me that soapy scent. Like freesia smells like Bath and Body Works kind of body sprays to me from the 90s or early 2000s. And then when it dries down, it has like an amber, musky benzoin thing. The sweetness is mostly, I think, from orange blossom. So it's not very sweet, but it's got an orange blossomy sweetness. Benzoin also is sweet later on in the dry down. But when it is in the deep dry down, both this one and the other Yellow Diamond and the Crystal Emerald, the new Crystal Emerald one, all of those have the ambroxany thing that I don't like in the dry down. That smells kind of scratchy when it's like overly ambroxany to me. So this one isn't a favorite of mine. I really liked the original Yellow Diamond at first, but I just don't really like the deep dry down, so it's not worth it for me. And yeah, that Pear Sorbet, I don't know if I would have well, now I think I'm so used to a pear note, I would guess that it's in there. But it's definitely a fruity floral. It smells like both fruit and floral and kind of soapy. Hi, Cozy Adventures. I'm gonna just do my last two pear fragrances right now because I'm almost done and I just want to clear out the pear and welcome in my next fragrance adventure, which is going to be sweet citruses. So I have Prada Paradox Intense and the original Prada Paradox, two little samples, and I've smelled them in store too, and I was surprised because of how I've heard people describe them, that when I smell them I was like, it just smells like kind of generic department store perfume. I feel that way about Donna Born in Roma too, but I think also there's a lot of department store perfumes like that, and also a lot of the peach and pear perfumes in general. I don't like that much when I sniff it right up close, like it kind of punches me in the nose or it does something that makes me go like that. But in the air, when it's wafting around, I get it. It's pretty, it's sexy. I smell the orange blossom and the jasmine. The Intense is definitely more sweet. In both of them, I smell the pear. It smells like the regular Prada Paradox. The pear lasts longer, whereas the Intense goes more into I would say like a intense jasmine and vanilla direction, whereas the original is more orange blossom and pear. But they're not like a fragrance and a flanker that don't smell like they're the same fragrance. Like they're definitely the same DNA, just with some differences. Yeah, and now I realize, just from like sitting here and wearing it the past like half hour or so, and smelling little wafts in the air, I do like that, and it makes me curious how it would go out and about, because I see people saying that it gets lots of compliments and it's a man magnet and da da da. So I'm curious about that. But yeah, when I smell it up close, I don't really like it. It's why I thought I didn't like fruity florals, and I think it turns out that a lot of them I do like. I just can't smell them up close because it's too floral and too something cloying. But in the air, it's sweet and flowers and honeybees. Hi, Cozy Adventurers. I just wanted to pop up really quick and talk about pistachio because I tried pistachio fragrances when I first started smelling things in the fall and was like, ew, I don't think I like pistachio. And I realized that first of all, I need pistachio to kind of oxidize a little bit and sweeten up. And second of all, yeah, I don't like pistachio if it's not really sweet, like creamy and candied and not soapy or a harsh, nutty smell that's not a sweet, creamy smell. So some fragrances that I first tried and let age for a while, I ended up really liking. One is the EOS pistachio. When I first smelled it in the fall, it did not smell good, but right now it smells so good. And I'm just discovering that like maybe this is my time of year for pistachio. It's just like, oh, I suddenly like want to smell like this. So that's the EOS pistachio. The Cheirosa 62, I did already like this one because it was so creamy and sweet. And this one makes me think of holidays. So it's like I don't really want to wear it at home. Maybe I will in the thick of summer, but it feels so much like a vacation to me that, and I used it on a little mini vacation I took last fall, that's what I associate it with. And then the Tree Hut version of that fragrance, Tropic Glow, I have the shave oil, and I think probably next I would get this rather than the Sol de Janeiro, because I think I actually like it a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more syrupy in a way that I like. But similar smell, similar pistachio, and yeah, sweet and creamy and somehow tropical feeling. And then I have She Was Here, which is like a rose pistachio milk scent that's really lovely. One of my favorite of the rose smells that I smell, because it smells like this. It smells like a sweet rose pistachio latte, but without the coffee, but that sort of sweet, milky, yummy, like a Middle Eastern dessert hot beverage. She Was Here. And then Heal the Way is pistachio and Palo Santo. And what else? Divana. And this is a really like soothing, comforting one. And then I have Rare by Rare Beauty, which is similar to Goddess, Burberry Goddess, but doesn't have the lavender and does have pistachio. And just to share some pistachio fragrances that didn't work out for me, one is the Kayali Yum Pistachio Gelato. It just has a fresh scent that some people love, and to me it makes something that's supposed to smell creamy and like food smell like there's suddenly soap in it, and I don't like that. Lucy, she's ready to play. So I don't like that. I got Me Wish, which is that beautiful moon-shaped fragrance from Paris Corner that is similar to Cheirosa 62, but with really heavy honey, dose of honey. And when I first sprayed it, it smelled more like Cheirosa 62, and then after it aged for a while, the honey got stronger and stronger, and it just wasn't for me. And also Paris Corner is one that I'm less allergic to than say Lattafa, but I still get some allergic reactions to some of the chemicals. And Lattafa, I actually really like. Affection, that was one that after it aged a few months smelled really sweet and creamy and delicious. So if you are not sensitive like I am, I recommend Affection. And I can't remember what, hi Lucy, I can't remember what, there was one that had peanut in it with the pistachio. That was another Middle Eastern one, and that one stayed kind of bitter even after aging, so I never fully liked that one. And I think that is it on my pistachio report. I feel like there must have been a couple other ones, but yeah, I really thought that I must just really not like pistachio when I first was exploring that note. But yeah, I figured out some things that are sweet, creamy, candied enough, and that age out of being bitter, that I really like, which is the ones I just talked about in the last video. Hey, Cozy Adventures. I can't remember if I've talked about it before, but while I'm talking about pistachio, I figured out that I really love this lotion. Oop, ow. The EOS Pistachio, Heal Away by Sniff, She Was Here by Forever Mood, Rare by Selena Gomez, and then on top of that, or not directly on top of it, but also layered in Princess by Kilian. Kilian's Princess does not have pistachio, but it has it adds a green tea note. And even though this one doesn't have green tea, it has Divana that acts a little bit like green tea in it for me. And it's got ginger and vanilla like Rare Beauty does, like a similar ginger and vanilla. And so that green tea, ginger and vanilla, and then it adds on top of all of this stuff some marshmallow. And does this one have marshmallow? It doesn't say. It says toasted pistachio, vanilla toffee, and blonde woods, but this smells a little bit marshmallowy to me. And this has just like been my jam this month. So I think this is my time of year for some pistachio, because it has this freshness to it that maybe it's a kind of saltiness that feels a little tropical, a little bit moving into the summer. But in the fragrances I have, there's also all of this creamy yumminess with that freshness, and not the freshness that's like soap or bitterness, which I don't like. Hi, Cozy Adventures. To close out March, I wanted to give some awards to my favorite peach, pear, and sweet citrus fragrances so far. So for peach, I picked Casimir, which is a vintage vanilla that has a lot of peach, or a very noticeable peach. It's like a vintage vanilla amber. It's got that kind of a rich syrupy scent, and it's by Michel Amarac, one of my favorite perfumers. And some people say it is the first, or like like one of the main leaders of the way toward gourmand. So it's not quite what we think of gourmand nowadays, but it was starting to get there with this one. It's Casimir by Chopard, and I think they're still making it, and you can definitely still get it for a good deal on Joma Shop and Fragrance Net, so that's cool. I already got a second one actually from someone on Mercari, because I was like, I want to have this forever. I just feel it feels like a special one to me. So that's for my peach fragrance. For my pear, I'm actually going to pick Angelique Noir, which before I did this peach and pear exploration, I didn't even fully realize what I was smelling in a lot of fragrances, and what made something peachy and what made something pear. And I discovered for pear, I really like it in the spring. And this is a fragrance that I'd already tested and didn't like it that much when it was still in the winter. But once it was spring and I sprayed it, I was like, whoa, because it's like a powdery vanilla and herbs, the angelica, but yeah, then this pear as well. And all of that put together makes an awesome springtime scent. Like it became sort of addictive to me. And I only had this little bit, but you know, if I were gonna get a full bottle of something pear and money wasn't an object, then I'd probably get this one. Or like if Guerlain would make like smaller amounts, because it's not like I want to wear this all the time, all year, but in this time of year, this like turning into spring after winter, it's just perfect. And then for sweet citrus, I'm picking Lolita Land, and the perfumer on this is the same as for Baccarat Rouge. And he does amazing fragrances that really fill the air and create a scent bubble. And the scent bubble of this is so like creamsicle to me. Cozy Adventures. I wanted to give you a budget option for Pear. And for that, it was this fragrance net discovery for me, the Symmetry fragrance Harmony. It's not strong. Maybe once it sits for a while, it'll get stronger. It dissipates fairly quickly, but it is such a, like for me, a lot of the Pear fragrances are either too sort of sickly sweet or too kind of overripe syrupy. And this is a fresh sweet, like there's a tiny bit of spice in it. It just smells like light, sweet springtime. And I like the bottle, and it's affordable. And this can replace for me Burberry Brit, which I had and sold because it was too heavy for me. And it can replace Jean Paul Gaultier's La Belle, which for me is too overripe, syrupy, heavy, kind of dirty smelling to me. And this has this just light, fresh, again, light, fresh, sweet, little nods to those other fragrances, but totally its own easy wearing thing. It just has such a good nature to it, I feel. So I hope it does mature and become longer lasting, because I think it does dissipate in a couple hours, but it'd be easy to, you know, top off when you need to with this one. That's Harmony by Symmetry. And I got cut off talking about Lolita Land. It's from Lolita Lempicka, and the perfumer is Francis Kurkdjian, who made Baccarat Rouge. And the top usually has a little glass deer on it, but I got it as a tester for a less expensive price. And I think it's discontinued, but I was still able to get it on Fragrance Net, so you can still find it some places. And yeah, it's less the smell when I smell it up close and more the experience of wearing it. Like, it really creates a beautiful scent bubble and a beautiful wafting scent. And this one actually has peach as well. It's not just the sweet citrus. But the peach melds with the citrus and just makes this sweet, creamy, kind of cotton candy-like, a little bit syrupy, but in the air, creamsicle-like fragrance. So yeah, if I were to get one sweet citrus, this would be it for me, because I love the way it wafts around me.